Yo, what's up, guys? As you guys already know, we have the Assassin's Creed collab coming, which, in my opinion, is a super cool collab. This is a lot better than the previous one. I like this one a lot more. Personally, I didn't play any of the Assassin's Creed games, but a good friend of mine back in Shanghai was actually playing, I think, Odyssey there, like in the living room. Another friend of mine, like during LAN parties, was always doing. I don't remember which one it was. It was like the third or the fourth one, where you can be on like the boats like the whole freaking day. Like he didn't do anything except be on the boat and like kill people on the boat and that kind of shit. So do know a little bit about the game, not that much, but like in general, assassins are just cool as fuck. So I'm pretty hyped for this collab in general. I did see the movie, however. The movie, the combat was pretty cool. The story was super weird. No spoilers, but yeah, this is super dope. And it's also cool. Like, at first, it was like, okay, are they just going to do like the hoodies and skins? Because we saw the first picture and it was just like a skin. I even made this meme out of it. That's the. Yeah, I was like, yo, are they actually going to release units? But they have 5 units. So technically, we will have 21 units, if I'm not mistaken, which was the same as the collab with the Street Fighters. We got Ken, which was the 21st or the first, whatever you want to call it, and then 4 units with 5 elements, so 20 extra. So that looks pretty cool. I actually have no clue how to pronounce all of these names, so I'm going to either butcher them or just not name them at all until I hear that from someone else. So looks pretty dope. Looks pretty dope. We are going to get one of the units for free, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure where it was actually written. It will be written at some point. We'll read through it. So if I'm not mistaken, this light unit is something that everyone's going to get. So I'm gonna read through the skills, see what we see right here, see what we also expect. I do expect the most OP unit not to be showcased in this. Like last time we had a showcase of the Street Fighter skills. The Wind Ryu looked pretty promising. That was the best one, like written wise. And that was actually the worst one, still is the worst one, ever has been the worst one. So good odds that the one they show here is probably one of the worst. And the ones that are actually OP, the ones that are actually good, like for example, the Moore, Carnal at some point, those kind of units that are not going to be shown in here. So pretty curious, but let's see. Strike of Brotherhood inflicts damage that ignore all damage reduction effects. Okay, so that is good against shields. That's good against what's it called? Defense buff. It doesn't ignore passives such as parry, apparently. So into, for example, teams like Manon. Could it be a Manon counter? Not really sure. Don't really think so too much, but let's see what else we have. Grants threat state on an ally. Enemies include impossible attack on the threat state with 2 single targets. Okay, that's pretty interesting. That's, for me, that sounds more like towards siege kind of units. RTA maybe not that much. It also, like, a big factor is like, okay, what are the base stats? What are the leader skills? Like, for example, if this thing has a 33 leader, doesn't even matter what stats he has, he's probably good. So yeah, those kind of things do matter quite for a bit. Also, like, what is the cooldown on a skill? Is this like a 3-turn? Is this a 2-turn? Like anything like that. Attacks the enemy with a hidden blade assassinate blade. Yes, if you don't get damage during the time. Okay, so that kind of goes well with this skill. So this signals everything siege offense, not defense, just siege offense. So I think giving a free unit for siege offense is pretty nice. I think you could probably also use this. Could you use this in PvE kind of stuff? Because most of the time the enemy doesn't get that much of a turn. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure. It could be a thing. Not entirely sure. Then we go on to the next one, Ezio, which does the same thing on the S1. Oh, they actually have like similar kits. So I think it's similar to words like Ken and then also the other Street Fighters, where Ken has the same skills as, for example, the Water Ryu, S1 as Water Ryu, that kind of stuff. So we have a second skill, attack the enemy 2 times, decrease defense by. That is actually pretty nice, because a lot of the armor breaks that we have is a 1-turn, so you're fighting the resistance checks. If you have 2 times 80%, which probably goes up to like 100-ish with skill ups, that is a very high odd of doing the That is a very high odd of actually landing that armor break, no matter resistance and that kind of Gucci stuff. Also, because there's only one skill on accuracy check, because the third one is a passive, it's very likely to put it accuracy S2, makes it pretty solid as well. Inflicts damage that ignores defense in proportional to the enemy lost HP up to 100. Okay. That looks pretty interesting as well, because ignore defense is a pretty big hit in general. The odd thing is it does defense break with ignore defense. It's kind of like the synergy is kind of off. It would be nicer if it would say like, okay, I give myself attack buff and then do ignore defense, for example. But it does do ignore defense the moment the HP of the enemy gets lower and lower. So I do see this unit being somewhat useful. But if we keep like the same style of ignore or like having armor break on the S2, I think there will be 2 or 3 more in the same family that will have armor break that like this on the S2. If they have like a different passive, I think this unit could be very good. I see potential for not necessarily the fire one, but for a different, like if there's one of the family that is going into strips and armor breaks, very solid. Attack buff armor breaks, very solid. So if we see a different passive or just a different third skill, I think this family could be very strong. The fly one, however, I feel like it's okay-ish, but not necessarily super OP. Or, well, then again, also leader skills matter, multipliers matter, all of that Gucci stuff. Then we have a dark one, so this one is going to be relatively rare, so we're not going to see it too much, but at least we can see what kind of skills the S1 and the S2 will have also throughout other things in the family. So the S1 is a Disturbed Recovery with a 70% chance. It's never bad to have Disturbed Recovery. Currently in the meta, we have a lot of healers, mollies, that kind of stuff. So, too bad it's not a multi-hit, because with multi-hits, it's easier to stick those kind of things. Attacks the enemy 2 times, remove 1 beneficial effects and silence for 2 turns with 75% chance respectively. Increase to your max HP. So this is a tank unit. Okay, interesting, interesting. So all of these are going to be tanks-ish. Okay, not sure if this is necessarily that great of a kit so far. And ego attacks random stuns 1 turn on your turn. Okay, so this is one of those like speed, HP via will bruisers-ish, it seems. It's on your turn, so revenge doesn't really do all too much. I'm not sure about this one. The dark one seems pretty lackluster, whereas I was pretty hyped over this one for like the family. This one, I'm not sure if I'm feeling it that much. Then we have for Cassandra, we have a Bull Rush, attacks the enemy, decrease the attack bar with by 30% with a 5% chance. Okay, decreases all defense for 2 turns on a 60%, or decreases all enemies 2 turns defense break 60%. Probably goes up to 80%, so that's somewhat lackluster to be at 80%, I guess. Attacks the enemy 3 times, leave branding for 3 turns. Additionally, the attack will always land critical hits and deals increased damage to wind. This one is so weird for me, because you have a water unit that does a fire strike, but can you still glance? Like, if this is non-glanceable, so, or wait, you always crit, so that is non-glanceable. That's actually, wait, is that interesting? Is that interesting? Well, at least now you have something to use your water damage on wind artifacts on. But the issue is that the units, like, you can kill off a wind unit easily, but that wind unit can also kill you easily because you're a damage dealer, and by siege standards, you will be hit by that unit. So I'm not necessarily sure if this is really good, but the S3 is kind of like ignoring elements if you throw it on the right element. Pretty interesting, kind of weird, but I'm curious if that's a rotating, like, for example, that the fire one has a water strike, the wind one has a like water strike, like all of that kind of stuff. Like, does that kind of rotate around that all of them have these kind of hits, or do they have something else in their third skill? I hope they actually do have something else in their third skill. But this is also like a siege thing unit, I would say. Then we have Eivor, I guess. And this one I think is going to be my homeboy. This is the one I'm going to make videos about. Maybe not this one specifically, but this family seems very promising for PvE. I pray to the Assassin's Creed God. Let the fire one be OP for Steel Fortress. Steel Fortress is still the biggest Zok dungeon to run. I really pray that the fire one is going to annihilate that boss. Wind one, however, we have a defense break on S1, 2 turns, 20%, probably goes up to like 30% ish, maybe 35, 40 ish. It is a double hit, so that's nice. Attacks the enemy 3 times continuous damage for 2 turns with a 50% chance. That is a lot of continuous damage. That's potentially 6 stacks of continuous damage, like straight off the get-go. That is a lot. And now we have attacks the enemy 3 times, inflict continuous damage for 1 turn each, 3 hits, and once more you explode the continuous damage. That is insane. So this thing is instantly going to replace Tattoo in any GB12 team, but I'm really hoping for the fire one to be super OP in Steel Fortress, or at least be like super useful. We need that beneficial block. So Kantos, if you're listening, you probably already know what these units are going to do. Slide in that beneficial block stuff on I don't care what skill, make it perfect AI. Give it some condition perfect AI, multi-hitter, I don't know, man. So this is pretty cool. Like in general, these units look pretty dope. They have a video of where they show some of the visuals. They don't show too much of it yet, of like the skills itself, but I'm pretty hyped. So we also have like a dungeon for the collab, which looks pretty cool. And we have something that they actually added into Chronicles as well, which I think is very cool. So every time you clear a stage, if I scroll a little bit further down, you get to receive a certain buff. And with those buffs, it just becomes easier to do those stages and that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty cool. Like, I'm very curious to see, because you can select different types of like, okay, normal, hard, or hell. I'm curious to see for like super far end game, is hell like actually difficult? I hope so. I think it's good. That would be cool. But then again, I think for the people that have been playing this game for many, many years, this is probably relatively... Should it be hard to clear? I don't know. We're definitely going to try this out. I think it looks pretty dope as it is. Also, like, I think these units look pretty dope. They actually mentioned in the video that within Summoners War, it's more of like a fantasy based of units, whereas you have in Assassin's Creed, it is more of a realistic representation of a human into a video game, and they kind of made like a middle way in between that with the skins that they have here, or like the models that they have here, which I think they did a pretty good job in. Like, they look pretty dope. So we have a bunch of different routes that you can choose, if I'm not mistaken. You can choose if you want to go like certain paths. So probably, I'm not entirely sure if you can clear the whole thing. How it works in Chronicles is you go one path and you cannot go steps back. So for example, if I do this one, then this two, I cannot do that too. If I then choose this path, I cannot do this and this anymore. So I think with that, you kind of choose your path in which stages you will do, and you decide like, okay, do I want to hit more bosses? Do I want to get more recovery stages? I read something about like reviving a unit. So if a unit is actually dead, it is dead. That's pretty cool as well. So I think this is pretty dope content. So these are the stages, like normal waves. We have a more powerful monster. We have a revival, and we have a boss stage. So I'm definitely going to try this first on my alt to see what kind of state, like how this exactly works. And then I'm going to do this on my main, because I noticed in Chronicles, I made a few mistakes, and you choose like wrong path, you choose wrong boss, and therefore you just get like the wrong things, and you kind of waste like your first rotation of doing this. So it's kind of recommended, like, if you're seeing this, like, don't rush right into it. Let some other people take the bullet, probably some streamers, YouTubers. Let them take the bullet, and then you do it the good way. Very recommended. So yeah, then we have like the power-ups. We have a bunch of loots. They actually have 77 effects. That is a lot of effects. In Chronicles, you actually have some effects that are insanely good as well. Like, decrease the max skill cooldown of all allies by n turns. That means n is not just 1. It could be 2 or 3. Like, imagine your Nefty's doing S2 all the time. Okay, maybe you don't have Nefty. Imagine your Zyros S3ing all the time. Like, imagine your Lucianing S3ing all the time. That's some dope shit. That is actually legit. Like, you're gonna get some crazy ass buffs on these. Because here they actually show like 2 tiers of buffs, and they have like the purple one and the green one. Probably there's also a yellow one, which are going to be even more insane buffs. So pretty curious to see about that. Then we have the boss, which are the Templars. They look dope. They look, I don't know. This looks dope. This looks dope. I like this. They actually said they kind of went for the same style-ish as they went for the last dimensional hole. I think it's the last one where you have like the Darien kind of looking boss. They went for this kind of style. I really like that. They have a bunch of skills. It looks like there's a lot of stances. So it does one hit, it goes to one stance, and then it does something in that. But I'll read through that, like exactly when the battle actually happens, when we actually have all that good stuff. So then we also see for hell clear. So we have like rotations of each week. So you can clear this for 9 weeks. And so you can choose like different paths every week, I guess. And you get a bunch of rewards. I guess the Splendid Blessing is probably one of the better stuff out there. Reaps is always nice. All attributes is pretty nice. Some of the other rewards are just chill. But you get them once a week. So it's not like, oh, you're going to get all of this in like a few days. That will be OP, but this once a week. It's nice rewards. Probably we are going to get like a bunch more events on this, so that will be pretty interesting to look at. Okay, so we have this new building, we have the Assassin's Headquarters, looks cool, looks cool. They actually, like in the video, I really recommend to check out the video that they showed. It's like 15 minutes-ish about like the Korean devs talking about like how they made it, what the idea was behind it. I don't want to spoil it, but like normally we saw like the, what's it called? Like the cookies like coming in on the balloon and that kind of stuff. For this one, they showed like a small preview of like how this one, like the main unit comes in. It looks dope. I like it already. It looks dope. So I'm not going to spoil it. You can check it in the video. Otherwise, you got to wait until the thing actually happens. So we also have a bunch of missions for that kind of stuff. That's cool. And you get some like bonus rewards. You can get bonus rewards. Just okay, you just get like a bunch of energy. Free energy, always good. And we can always use more of that. You also have the Monster X that is like with the one rifle where it just spams like the new units and that kind of stuff. And then it shows like, okay, where can you get the new units from? You have the Assassin's Creed Collab scroll. This is where you're only going to get the 4-star normal element, not the LDs, not the net 5s. But hey, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that is pretty much about it. So update is hitting in about a week, 28th of February. I'm very hyped for this. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this. I think this is like 100 times better collab than the previous collab. Might be biased on that. We actually have to see how it works out with the A, events, B, the units, C, like the whole dungeon. I think the dungeon is like 10 times better than the thing previous. Previously, the dungeon was just like, you run through the thing, you see like a Cyrus like flapping over the fucking thing, walking to the next stage, which had like a very weird animation for whatever reason. This looks dope. Like, it looks thought through, it looks nice, it looks dope. Like, the collab is dope, the game is dope. I don't know, man. I'm hyped. Guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. If you'd like to see more AC content in Summoners War, hit the subscribe button and like this video, and see you in the next one.